The Bible talks also about worldwide television in the last days. In Revelation, we are told in chapter 11 that God will raise up two witnesses, one of whom is clearly the Elijah prophet returned. The other is probably Moses. And these witnesses who are prophesied in the Old Testament in Malachi to appear before the great and terrible day of the Lord will appear and witness for 1,260 days. Then God allows the Antichrist to destroy them. When that happens, Revelation tells us that the whole world, who has been persecuted by the dryness because the rains will cease and famine, will rejoice at the death of these two witnesses of God. But it says that the whole world will get together quickly when they see their unburied bodies in the streets of Jerusalem, when the Antichrist won't permit them to be buried for 3.5 days. The whole world, the Bible says, will worship the Antichrist. They will rejoice and give gifts that the two witnesses are dead. Now, how could that occur in any other generation than ours? Before the introduction of worldwide television and the internet, CNN, TBN, how could worldwide television have possibly existed? It is only in the last 20 years that the whole world can watch the Olympics or watch a particular political event occur at one single time. All of these prophecies are unique and happening in our day and age. And when we look, we also see the Bible said in the prophet Daniel that knowledge shall increase in the last days, and men would run to and fro. We are living in that time. The total sum knowledge, scientific and otherwise, has doubled in the last 20 years. Studies show that 50% of all the scientists who have ever lived in history are alive today. Knowledge is exploding, technological in every other way. It is simply impossible for any person, no matter how ingenious they are, to possess all of the knowledge of the world. There will be preparations for Armageddon in the last days. The Battle of Armageddon will involve all the nations of the world. When the Antichrist claims to be the world dictator, the nations of Asia and the nations of the Middle East will first rebel. Israel will rebel against him. The nations of Turkey, the north, and the king of the south, Egypt, will rebel against the Antichrist. He will quickly destroy the nations of Turkey and Egypt. But the Bible indicates clearly that then he'll hear tidings out of the area of East and North, Asia. Tidings that Revelation tells us is of an army of an incredible 200 million soldiers. Never in history could this have happened until now. But China, with its reserves, can field an army of 200 million soldiers. And China will not be alone. The Bible says the kings of the East, plural, will gather their armies and march across Asia. And Revelation 16 says that the highway would be prepared for the armies of the kings of the East. Today, a military highway has been built through southern China, through some of the most inhospitable territory, through mountains. 100,000 Chinese soldiers and construction workers have lost their life building it. It's now going through Pakistan and Afghanistan. And this military highway is not for economic purposes. It's heading directly toward the Euphrates River and Israel. The Bible said in Revelation that the great river Euphrates that has never dried up in human history will dry up and allow that huge 200 million man army to cross dry shod, heading toward the Battle of Armageddon. For the first time in history, this can happen. Turkey has built the Ataturk Dam. At a push of a button, that Ataturk Dam can close off the Euphrates River so that the armies of the kings of the East can march dry through the river Euphrates toward Israel. My friends, it's time to look up. Jesus said in Luke 21:28, when these things begin to pass, look up and lift up your head. Your redemption draws nigh. In the next program, we'll look at additional signs of the second coming. Signs that tell us, get ready. It's time to be a witness. Jesus said in the Gospel of John, chapter 9, that the night is coming when no man can work. He said we're to pray that the Lord of the harvest will send workers while the fields are white. Well, we need to pray that he will send harvest workers, but we need to be evangelists ourselves. We need to share our faith. And TBN is one of the greatest ways to share our faith around the world, that millions can receive the gospel for the first time in human history. We are truly living in the last days, my friend. Everything about the fulfillment of prophecy tells us to wake up, realize the Messiah is coming. You see, if world government and the revived Roman Empire, as we'll talk in the next program, are close, then the coming of Jesus Christ to take his church home to glory is even closer. We need to be aware of the times we live in. Jesus condemned the religious leaders of his day and said, how come you can understand the signs of the weather and not understand the signs of the coming of the Son of Man? If we are awake, if we are obedient, we will be aware of the signs of the fulfillment of prophecy in our day and age. Israel is back in the land. The land is becoming fertile. According to the United Nations, Israel is the most agriculturally efficient nation on the planet. A nation of sand and dust that is now providing huge amounts of citrus fruit for the entire continent of Europe. Jesus Christ is coming soon. You and I need to be dedicated. We need to use our dollars wisely for missions. We need to support our churches. We need to be evangelizing and sharing our faith with friends. One of the greatest uses of Bible prophecy is not only to convince our neighbors that the Bible prophecies are true, that the Bible is truly inspired by God, but that Jesus Christ is indeed coming, that these are not normal times. And if this is true, we need to witness to them with urgency. Live in holiness. As John 3 says, every man that hath this hope in him thereby purifies himself, even as he, Jesus, is pure. I look forward to getting back with you next week and sharing additional signs of prophecy of the coming of Jesus Christ in these last days. I trust you enjoyed this in-depth look at Bible prophecies related to the second coming of Jesus Christ, many of which are being fulfilled in Israel even today. Please join us for this series of Bible Prophecy Revealed as we explore the most exciting prophecies in the Bible that relate to our generation and the second coming of Jesus Christ. God bless you.